Hello friends, welcome to my channel Charismatic Literature. Uh, Here you can find all the materials and videos related with literature and language. I am Sheikh Ayaz, Assistant Professor of English, Shri Vasantarao Naik Arts and Amar Singh Naik Commerce College, Mangalore. In this video, we have with us an eminent personality and scholar, Dr. Abdul Sami Siddiqui sir. He is going to deliver a talk on journey of Indian English drama in literature. Before that, I would like to introduce him to all the audience and spectators. Friends, he is presently the director of Center for Professional Development of Urdu Medium Teachers, Maulana Azad National Urdu University, Hyderabad. Friends, he has completed his post-graduation from SRTM University, Nanded. He has also completed his MPhil in 2008 from Yashwantrao Chauhan Open University, Nashik, and PhD from SRTM University, Nanded in 2015. Friends, he has also qualified SET examination which was conducted by Savitribai Phule, Pune University, Pune. He also worked as an associate professor at Department of English, Maulana Azad National Urdu University, Hyderabad. And now, as I said earlier, he is director of CPDUMT now. My friends, under his supervision, one researcher has awarded PhD as well as one has awarded MPhil degree, and presently 4 students are doing PhD under his supervision. Apart from this, he has published total 4 books named Taruf, a poetic collection in Urdu. It was published in 2018. Then second is Violence in English Drama. It was published in 2014. Then The Reflection of Mahesh Dattani in 2012, and the last one is Re-Exploring Indian Drama in English in 2012. So, friends, he has published 30 papers in national and international journals, and he has also coordinated 2 refresher course for assistant professor at UGC, HRDC at Maulana Azad National Urdu University, Hyderabad. So I request Dr. Abdul Sami Siddiqui sir to start his talk on journey of Indian English drama in literature. Dr. Sami Siddiqui sir, the stage is all yours, sir. Okay.
Well, I begin with thanking Mr. Ayaz and his college and all other people who are associated with him and with the college for organizing and inviting me to this event. The topic that I have chosen for today is Indian drama in English. Now, all of us know that Indian writings in English is a post, in a way, it is a child of colonialism in India. So when we talk about Indian drama, that too in English, it also begins in the colonial period. But it doesn't mean that we didn't have drama before the colonial period. We look into the history of drama in India, you will find that right from the Vedic period and also in the Buddhist and the pre-colonial period, we had drama. And there were different forms of drama which were popular in different periods of history. But since we are dealing here specifically with English drama. I think it was 1837 when the first play in English was staged. And well, so Krishna Govind Banerjee is the first writer who wrote a play called Persecuted, and that play was staged and published around 1837. At this juncture, let me remind the scholars of English that a Macaulay's Minute was also had come in the year 1834. So you can locate the beginning of English writings in India uh, almost parallel to Macaulay's Minute. Even in the section of novels, it is from 1830s to 1860s. This is the period where we find that Indians they start writing in English. And since drama as a form, it deals with it's not an isolated kind of a form. It's a collaborative piece of art which involves many people. So one of the things is related to staging of the drama. There are producers, actors, directors, and so on. So when we look at the development of drama, we have to look at the emergence of theatre as well. Two prominent theatres in India have contributed to the development of drama, that too in Indian drama in English. One, well, so one is Hindu Rangmanch, and, that was established in Kolkata, and the other is Parsi Theatre, which was established in Mumbai. Now, this Hindu Rangmanch and Parsi Theatre, they were staging plays. Now, what happens is, like poetry, you will find that uh, there is a lot of colonial influence and there is a lot of reproducing of European and British dramas, uh, and and we find that until the nationalist movement begins, or until, in other words, you can say until Rabindranath Tagore starts writing plays, uh, so we find that the plays staged by Hindu Rangmanch in Kolkata and the Parsi Theatre in Mumbai, they had they were largely influenced by the European theatre and the British theatre. One of the reasons might be the audience, because when you are staging a play, you have to cater to the audience. And when the audience who were interested in watching these dramas were European, they were British, mostly British. So the writers would write according to suit the tastes of those audience, and that's where we find that the Indian playwrights they were writing plays under the influence of European dramas. It doesn't mean that uh, our folk theatre or our other forms of theatre didn't exist during this period. It's not like that. You will find a parallel movement right from the Vedic period. Right from the Vedic period till today, you will find that this divide between the theatre which caters to the upper classes and the theatre which is a popular theatre or which is a theatre of the people. So, even during the colonial period, our various folk forms in different Indian languages, they continue to exist. But as I said, the contribution of Hindu Rangmanch and the contribution of Parsi theatre, that is very significant. Okay. Now, any book of Indian history, history of Indian writings in English, whether you go by Iyengar's book or M.K. Naik's book or A.K. Malhotra's book, you will find all the names of writers and the text written by them. So, in a talk of half an hour or so, I'll be mentioning some major writers in the pre-independence period, and one of them is, of course, Rabindranath Tagore. Parallel to Rabindranath Tagore, we can find Sri Aurobindo writing, but uh, there is a difference between the way Rabindranath Tagore wrote and the way Sri Aurobindo approached to the things. Aurobindo borrowed his stories from the Persian and the European texts, whereas Rabindranath Tagore dealt with themes of which were more relevant to the Indian context. And there might be one more reason that Aurobindo's plays were written directly in English. Aurobindo wrote plays in the verse form as well, in the poetic form as well, whereas Rabindranath Tagore's plays were first written in Bengali and then translated into English. So that is there. Another important, you, you will find that like other forms of writing, if you look into the beginning of poetry, you'll find Michael Madhusudan Dutt and Toru Dutt and like that. If you go to the beginning of novel in India, that to Indian English novel, you will again go to Bankim Chandra Chatterjee's novels and other writers. The point is, this Bengal is the region which gave us the initial writers. One of the reasons why writers from Bengal they were the first might be that the movement by Raja Ram Mohan Roy, right? As the students of B.Ed and education, we do study that his contribution to popularizing English in India. Okay. Uh, the other thing is, even in the pre-independence period, you will find southern writers like T.P. Kailasan, and you'll find women writers as well, like Bharti Sarabhai. Now, if we move to post-independence period, we have many writers in the post-independence period, but in the initial phase, the writers who began writing before independence and who continued writing after independence, among them, Asif Karimboy is a major writer. He has written his collection. If you look, you will find more than 12 plays in that. Goa is one play, in Khalab is another play, Refugee is a play by him. Pratap Sharma is also an important playwright. Now, this actually, the writers of this period, they were, like I said, Indian drama in English began with Macaulay's Minute in one way. So if you start correlating the socio-political history of India and the history of drama, you will find these parallels. So Gandhi's arrival in India, that is the mark of, that is the start of nationalism, nationalistic movement in India. So after 1920s, you will find writers dealing with themes which are related to the struggle for independence and so on. Uh, here, from this period only, you will find the writers going back to history, Indian history, and bringing characters like the great Shivaji Maharaj and uh, the other writers, and they are being portrayed, and their struggle against some ruler is being presented. So actually, the writer wanted to project the struggle of the natives against the foreigners, and that struggle uh, was the theme that came from the struggle for independence itself. In the 60s and 70s, we find some poet dramatists. Many of us have studied Goodbye Party for Miss Pushpa T.S. That's a poem by Nissim Ezekiel. So, Nissim Ezekiel, who is a well-established poet, who was a renowned poet, he wrote three plays. one of his plays, Nalini. And Geet Patel is another poet who also wrote plays in English. So these writers were in the 60s and 70s. These writers were settled in Bombay, and they were writing plays in English. Now, it doesn't mean that there weren't other playwrights, right? So I'm mentioning just the major and the prominent names. What happens in the 70s or late 60s is after the establishment of National School of Drama, NSD, uh, there was a movement initiated by the then director of that National School of Drama, and he gave a call for going back to the roots. So what we find in the 70s and from 70s to 90s, this is the time where we find all for almost 2 decades, Indian drama in English is dominated by the writers who originally didn't write in English. And there are 4 playwrights and whom we call as the 4 pillars of modern Indian drama. One is Mohan Rakesh, another is Badal Sarkar, Vijay Tendulkar, and Grish Karnad. So Mohan Rakesh, he was writing his plays in English, in Hindi, and then his plays were translated into English. Aadhe Adhure is a play by him, which was translated as Halfway House, and which talks about the modern sensibilities, the modern predicaments. Similarly, Badal Sarkar is a playwright who wrote plays in Bengali, and then his plays were translated into English. And he is the pioneer of the third theatre or Naya theatre also. Badal Sarkar, he wrote plays in Bengali, and we have Vijay Tendulkar. Vijay Tendulkar was a playwright who wrote plays in Marathi. And his
या चित्रपटातील गीत ऐकल्यात श्रेया घोषाल यांच्या आवाजात उषा कांबळे यांची रचनेला दिलं होतं
Hi.
आता ऐकूयात.
Hello. Hello.
Hello, sir.
Sir.
You are audible, sir. Yes, sir.
So after Shreya Ghoshal's voice, my voice will not be so melodious.
Yes.
Okay.
There is interruptions.
Okay. No, it's okay. That's fine. That's the new normal. So the point I was trying to make was Vijay Tendulkar, and his plays were written in Marathi, and his plays were translated into English. Most of us, not just English, in other languages as well, most of us might have heard about or read one of his plays, Shantata Court Chalu Ahe. The play is translated in English as Silence, the court is in session. And when we study Vijay Tendulkar, we generally study him for the kind of violence that he depicts. As a journalist, he came across various forms of violence being inflicted on people, especially in Mumbai and the suburbs. And from there, he picked themes for his plays. And he was greatly influenced by a French dramatist, theorist, Antonin Artaud. And Antonin Artaud had given a concept of theatre of cruelty. So there have been studies where we talk about violence in Tendulkar's plays. Because violence need not be physical as well. It is not always needed to hit the person physically, right? Violence can be psychological, violence can be emotional, and so on. So, and Artaud says that human beings, they are instinctively violent. Human beings are not cultured ones, right? It is the society which makes them cultured and civilized. But so in each of Tendulkar's play, you will find a different type of violence, a different type of social issue being discussed. He is one of those playwrights who wrote, whose female characters are also equally remarkable. In all of his plays, you will find the female question, the question of gender, being expressed, being presented. The fourth major writer of this period from 1970s to 1990 is, of course, Girish Karnad, who wrote plays in Kannada, and then he himself translated his plays into English. He has acted in several Hindi movies and South movies. So many of us know him from the face as well. You can remember uh, Girish Karnad, who as an actor as well. Girish Karnad's contribution to Indian drama is that he talks about the present day problems with the help of history and myth. If you read his play Tughlaq, which talks about an ideal king and his decisions, right? So the play is not about Tughlaq. The play is about Nehru's idealism. Because it was written just after Nehru's demise, and so you will find that uh, whether that idealistic approach worked or whether it didn't work. He questions that. Instead of questioning Nehru directly, he questions Nehru through Tola, and that makes his play more interesting. The other play, like Nagmandala, it, it borrows its background or its thematic world is actually from a myth, but that myth actually presents the present day problem, the problem of marriage as an institute. If you go to Havadan, there also he talks about a mythological story, a story which is very popular, uh, and there are various versions of such stories popular in various languages of India. And with that story, he talks about the preferences of the present day woman. So these are the four major playwrights. And if we look at, because many of the teachers have joined, if you look at our curriculum, our syllabus, you will find that one of these playwrights is still there in our Indian writings in English, is prescribed. One of his texts must have been prescribed. That's that this brings to me to another question of the way we frame our syllabus, where where in some universities you will find that in the whole paper of Indian writing in English there won't be any drama. Sometimes you will find that there will be four dramas in one course. So that depends on the wisdom of our decision makers, our policy makers at the university levels. So there are many universities which do not treat Indian drama in English, worth including in the syllabus. Well, I understand that it is a little, it's an overstatement, but please allow to make that. Please allow me to make that. Well, uh, just from 1990s, there happened another change, and that change was related to the economic reforms, and we went into liberalization, privatization, and globalization. This brought to us this culture, uh, and we are seeing the results of that in present times. And some people analyze the pandemics also as a result of globalization. Well, not going into those details, coming back to drama, what happened to Indian drama in 1990s is uh, suddenly there was, because I believe most of us, most of the teachers especially, uh, if they were doing their graduations, post graduations after 90s, so or in the beginning of the new millennium, you will find that there was a sudden demand of English speaking right, young talent to work in the BPOs. I remember many of my friends joining in some companies in the call centers, right? Those were the years from 2000 to 2010, you can say, where the English speaking youth was more in demand, and this call center kind of thing had come, which later on turned into BPO and then into other sectors. But what happened to drama is we found out that now we have Indian audience who want to understand, who want to learn, or who want to watch plays in English. And the one major center that came up was in Bangalore. And even today, Bangalore is Bangalore is the city where the revival of Indian English drama is happening. One of the reasons, as I said, maybe the population, maybe the number of people who are interested in watching the theater in English. Well, this had influenced our writers so much that if you look at Girish Karnad's plays written after 1990, maybe 1994, he started writing directly in English. So the plays that Girish Karnad wrote after 1990 were not written in Kannada, they were written directly in English. Wedding Album is one example. Dreams of Tipu Sultan, another. So Wedding Album is a prominent example. Uh, and 1990s is another major time where the first Sahitya Academy Award to an Indian playwright writing in English was given, and that was Mahesh Tatani. And from Mahesh Tatani onwards, in a way, we were diverted once again towards the playwrights who are writing in English. And Mahesh Datani becomes the major voice, the major playwright of just, he started actually writing in 80s, and he was awarded Sahitya Academy Award for his play Final Solution in the 90s. And from then onwards, we as critics, we as literary historians, we as the academia, right, we got interested in going again we were oriented in a way to look into the playwrights writing directly in English. Mahesh Dattani is again a playwright who talks about social issues. He talks about the urban issues. So the contribution of Mahesh Dattani, as contrasted with Girish Karnad, is that he brought the Indian drama back to cities. He freed Indian drama from myths and histories, and he made it more obvious, more direct, more contemporary. Some of the critics, right, he was not just modern, he was ultra modern. Right? He started bringing in the taboo subjects, the untouched, the unexplored areas. He started exploring in his plays. Tara, for instance, is a play by him which talks about gender discrimination. Not just gender discrimination, how we treat disabled in our society. Like, Dance Like a Man again talks about the gender roles. Why is it that dancing is supposed to be a feminine activity? The protagonist questions. Seven Steps Around the Fire, in a muggy night in Mumbai, on a muggy night in Mumbai. These plays, they talk about homosexual relations. They talk about the third gender. And these all are the issues, these all were the topics which were not explored, which were not talked about in Indian theatre, and Dattani brought them in. Another one contribution of Dattani is he talks about social issues. Second one contribution of him is he talks about urban issues. He talks about India that resides in cities, in metropolitans. And the third thing that he did is the craftsmanship, the how to stage a play, right? He because he himself is a director as well, so he brought in various new uh, ways of staging the play. For the students and scholars, I'm mentioning this. You just go to the IGNOU study material. You will find there is a play called Tara prescribed in IGNOU syllabus. And you will find that the dramatic techniques that Dattani has used, the way he presents flashbacks on stage, right? The way he divides the stage. These are some of the things that Dattani brought in, and which were well received. And it's not just that Dattani was the only playwright, or Dattani is the only playwright writing. As contemporaries of Dattani, we have playwrights like Manjula Padmanabhan, who actually started writing before Dattani. But we came to know in our literary circles after Dattani. Well, what happens is there is a play called Lights Out, there is a play called Hidden Fires, there is a play. Lights Out, for instance, talks about the way we are insensitive towards what's happening to our neighbors, what's happening in our surroundings, right? She, Manjula Padmanabhan also talks about the urban issues only, but she highlights again in Lights Out we find that she talks about that we are not concerned about what's happening just a mile away or just in our neighborhood, just in the vicinity. Apart from Lights Out, her play Harvest talks about the selling and buying of human organs. Hidden Fires talks about the communal issue. Okay, Mahesh Dattani's play Final Solution also deals with the communal issue and the communal conflict in India. And he was awarded Sahitya Academy Award for Final Solutions only. Then we have another female writer, an important writer, Polly Sen Gupta. Recently, it's not recent now, it's almost 10 years now. Her collection of plays called Women Centered Stage was published. And in that, we can find plays like So Said Shakuni Does Speak Shurpankha, or Mangalam, or Keats Was a Tuber, like that. Now, 1990s for the Indian audience is also the arrival of, in a way, postmodernism, right? Like globalization and postmodernism, they go hand in hand. So, this play within a play technique, or meta text kind of a thing, or subverting the narratives, right? So Shurpankha and Shakuni, they meet at an airport and discuss the issues, and so on. Now, the next important development in the 1990s, or after in the new millennium, you can say, is we started looking towards diaspora. In all forms of Indian writings in English, you will find diasporic novelists, poets, and dramatists. but very few scholars are interested in diasporic drama. There are very few researches done as compared to the novel, because novel is a popular medium of writing as well as in terms of research. So one development is diaspora. So there, there are various diasporas. Uh, the oldest one is Indo-Canadian diaspora, and we have Uma Parmeshwaran, Rahul Verma as the writers from Indo-Canadian diaspora. Uma Parmeshwaran is a poet as well, and her plays like Sita's Promise, Sons Must Die, and so on. All these plays were performed. When I speak on Indian drama in English, some of my students they ask me, are the dramas just written and published, or are they staged as well? Because we believe that because most of us believe that this field doesn't exist, but then it does exist, and it's not just Indo-Canadian diaspora. In the Indo-British diaspora, we have writers like Asma Dar, we have writers like Gurpreet Kaur. There are many writers who were either born in India and brought up there, or whose parents were born in India and they have settled there and they are writing from there. And that's a very wonderful, that's a very upcoming field of research if somebody takes up. The second major development, if I have to locate, like diasporic drama, I would like to mention Dalit drama. So most of my audience, I'm making a guess that are from Maharashtra. So they know about Dalit writers and Dalit dramatists, and that's a major contribution of Maharashtra and Marathi literature to Indian literature, because Dalit movement was popular in Maharashtra, and through it the Dalit forms of writings became popular. We have various courses offered in Dalit literature, but rarely we talk about Dalit drama. So Premanand Gazvi's writings, uh, his his play like Kirvant talks about the caste discrimination within the Brahmin caste. It talks about the subtype of or the subcaste of Brahmins. Uh, there are writers like Sanjay Pawar. There are many writers, especially in the field of Dalit drama. So we can explore the drama. When we come to Dalit drama, we go back to the theoretical question: who can write a play dealing with Dalit issues, right? And the teachers I think are aware of this discussion whether Mulk Raj Anand could represent untouchables in the novel where Bakha is the major character, and whether Premchand could do justice to the Dalit representation. The similar questions can be asked to Vijay Tendulkar's Kanyadan as well. Because there also he talks about the caste differences and the intercaste marriage and so on. Well, now at this juncture, actually we are at a phase where we are talking about post or beyond, after. We're talking about who after Mahesh Dattani. We're talking who after Vijay Tendulkar. We're talking about who after Grish Karnad. So in the post Mahesh Dattani playwrights, we have Sheikh Majumdar. We have the note playwright Ramu Ramanathan, Professor Lakshmi Chandra of English and Foreign Languages, University Hyderabad. She has edited a volume. The title of the volume is Lights On, and it is Orient Black Swan has published it in two volumes, Lights On One, Lights On. So, in the preface to that book, she gives a list of almost uh, 30 to 40 young dramatists who are writing plays in English. I have mentioned just two names. One is Abhishek Majumdar, and another is uh, Ramu Ramanathan. Now, uh, here in there is a newspaper called Hindu, the Hindu. It gives literary awards every year, and uh, if you search for the Hindu Playwright Awards, you will find a list of writers uh, who have written in English and who have submitted their scripts to the newspaper, and then every year they have been instituting that award. British Council also has held workshops, and from there, playwrights from India were selected, and Abhishek Majumdar is a product of that. The workshops similar to them, and and then uh, so we find many writers who are writing, and there are many plays which are being published. Some of the actors and actresses are also writing. uh, Nandita Das, for instance, she has written a play between the lines in English. There are there are other playwrights like Kalki Kochlane, an actress. She too has written a play. There are many such upcoming writers in the post the Thani or in the after the Thani period. It doesn't mean that the Thani has stopped writing. Recently, in 2014, I think 2014, the most recent book by him was Me and My Plays, and in that book there are two plays. One is Big Fat City, and another is Where Did I Leave My Parda. Similarly, I'll give just one example and stop. In the post Tendulkar period, because I too I'm working in Hyderabad, but I have studied and I was born and brought up in Maharashtra. So in the post Tendulkar period, that's why my inclination towards Marathi, I'm saying, no regionalism intended. The point was, in the post Tendulkar period, we find writers like Mahesh N. Kunchwar and the writers like Satish Adekar. There are Makarand Sathe is the playwright. All of them, most of their plays have been translated into English, and people are doing research on them. But a major group of English scholars is not aware or is not interested in doing research in that. It is the duty of we, the teachers, we, the supervisors, to to introduce them to such new areas or the possibilities of research in these areas. There is one more popular thing, but there is one more thing, uh, and my daughter is singing something. Okay. Thus, I was telling about these playwrights like Sanjay Ganguly. I would like to especially mention him because there is a form of theatre called theatre of oppressed, and he practices that. And his plays have been translated and published in English. Uh, Siegel was a major publisher which used to publish plays in English, Indian especially plays translated from Indian languages into English. Among the post-Tendulkar playwrights, one of the from Marathi, one of the important names is of G.P. Deshpande or Goku Deshpande. Well, I think this was from my side. Uh, I once again thank the head department of English, uh, the principal of Vasantrao College, the chairperson of that college, and all the organizers. I also thank the participants for their patient listening. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Uh, Thank you very much for your insightful and very informative keynote address. I once again thank you, sir.